From the Carson Student Athlete Center in the Schaefer Sports Hall of Fame, it's time for Sun Devil Extra. Braiden Bell joined alongside Arizona State Athletic Director Graham Rossini. Graham, how you doing?
Doing good. New week.
Yep.
New excitement. We're off and running, so life is good.
So plenty to talk about in terms of what happened last week, and of course we'll talk about the week to come where we dive into football. And finally we have something that happened on the field to discuss. The long offseason officially over. Week 1 in the books, and Arizona State with a 38-19 win over Northern Arizona, a game that was attended by 56,759 of our closest friends. So it was a great atmosphere at Mountain America Stadium, and a game where there were some sloppy moments. Let's be frank. It's week 1. It's going to happen, but ultimately a good game for the Sun Devils to go 1-0 and stay mostly healthy.
Yeah, win out the gate, really important. You know, really improving NAU program, top 20 in the FCS. But I thought Coach Dillingham had great comments after the game. Of sometimes, he called it an ugly win. I thought there were a lot of things that were positive.
Sure.
Obviously, some things that you want to tighten up, but in some ways, I think that's the blessing in disguise. Is a game like that gives the coaches every reason in the book to reinforce the little details. That was his message to the team afterwards. Not a lot of celebratory fanfare. A couple game balls. Sam had a great game. Anthony Cooper with a great play and celebrated his longevity in the program in a big moment. So well-deserved game ball from him. But the tone was very much like, we got to get back to work. There's a lot of things that we need to tighten up. The details matter. We're going into a really fun environment on the road this weekend, and there's things that we need to tighten up in order to really compete at the highest level. So, but out the gate 1-0, crowd was unbelievable. Thank you to the fan base for showing up. Record student total, over 14,000, which was unbelievable. So cool to watch that develop. I was briefly up in the office right when the student gate opened, and the sea of gold that kind of ran into the south end zone there was a beautiful thing to see, and just they set great energy all game long. So a lot of positives, a lot of things that we want to tighten up operationally. Got a lot of really helpful feedback from fans over the weekend on a number of things. The southeast gate I know was a bottleneck, moving people there with such a good student turnout. First game for Airmark, they did mostly a very good job and accountable to some feedback that we got on things that we can tighten up before Texas State. But that's the beauty of week 1. We're off and running. Get real-time feedback on how we are as a football team, how we are as a department and a game day operation, and keep trying to get better every week.
On the point of student turnout and really the crowd as a whole, because it was an electric atmosphere, it was neat to see, and producer Sean and I were talking about this before we started recording today, that there wasn't really an exodus at halftime either. The students stayed around towards the end of the game, where the result of the game wasn't really in doubt anymore. Some people started to leave, but considering the heat, considering it was game 1, and first sellout since '98 for the first game, which I know we didn't get to talk about on the show last week because it hadn't been officially announced yet. Yeah. That shows it's just another step, and Coach says it all the time, everything matters. Those things absolutely matter, and to see them stick around for the majority of game number 1 was impressive.
Yeah, it was really cool to be able to announce the sellout. First time since '98. I think somebody pointed out that was the very first game that I ever attended. It was the last time that we sold out an opening night for Sun Devil football, and that's an important statement. And that needs to become the expectation. I think that's our hope, is that what we did last week rolls into Texas State. We keep having that momentum for these warmer, non-conference, early season games that still matter, because there's recruits on campus. There's people watching on television. There's a lot of attention around our program, and people want to see that, hey, the fan base is engaged. They're pouring energy into this atmosphere, and our players can feed off that excitement here at Mountain America Stadium.
I think something Coach Dillingham said in his Monday presser leading into the Mississippi State game, and not just to repeat what Coach Dillingham said, because you can catch that press conference on all of our YouTube channels as well, but he talked about, there was some fan reaction to maybe not beating NAU by as much as what people expected. But he brought up a couple of examples, one being Texas State on the road last year, where the Devils had to battle through a quote-unquote ugly win. Then he brought up Oregon against Idaho last year, which was a one-possession game to the very end. Oregon ended up being the number 1 team in the country. And then Notre Dame losing to Northern Illinois. These things happen. And so, a win is a win. And the penalties, of course, something to talk about moving forward. But Sam played well. The defense mostly looked pretty good. And then Jordan Tyson did Jordan Tyson things. Targeted 17 times in that game and made an unbelievable Willie Mays-style touchdown catch down the stretch. But, there are still a lot of things, and I know we kind of touched on it already, to say we're positives.
Yeah, and it's okay to be critical. We're all critical because we want that feedback.
Sure.
We want to understand where we want to get better. But I think your good point on let's not lose sight of things that went really well. And Sam had 350 total yards, not including the 2 plays that got called back for some ticky-tack penalties. That's okay, but we still execute those plays, right? And so for Raleek Brown to have that coming out party, really kind of that energy, that electricity on the field, his dance moves in the end zone. Hopefully we're seeing a lot more of that as the season goes on. That was a player that a lot of people were eager to see, and he lived up to the hype. Sam and Jordan, that connection for 12 catches was unreal. Kyson Brown, Sip doing his thing. A lot of things to be positive about. I just saw Canyon Floyd just got Special Teams Player of the Year, or Player of the Week that came out a few minutes ago before we started recording. So yeah, let's not lose sight of the things that went well and continue to reinforce the good parts, coach the parts that we want to tighten up, and that's the beauty of getting back to work Sunday when the team came back together.
So now you move forward to week number 2, and boy, it's eerily similar to last year when week 2 brought in the Mississippi State Bulldogs. It was the first ever SEC win for the Sun Devils last year, trying to double up on that, of course, with a trip down to Starkville and the Cowbell City, if you will, in Stark Vegas coming up on Saturday. It should be an awesome atmosphere. I saw the football team was practicing with cowbells over at practice this morning, getting ready for that environment. Of course, a 30-23 win last year for the Sun Devils. Mississippi State coming off of a win against Southern Miss in week number 1. But always fun to play down in the South. I know that's where you were born and raised. It's great football atmosphere down there. It's going to be a great challenge.
Yeah, I know Stark Vegas a little bit. Excited to get down there. I've got a couple friends driving over from Alabama, so it'll be good to see them. And it'll be a fun atmosphere. I mean, that's a fan base that cares deeply about their football program. Started on the way up towards the end of last season, really started to compete. 40+ new players on the roster, energized fan base. A lot of our fans are making the trip, which is pretty cool to hear from people over the weekend that they're going to make the travel to Starkville and be in the stadium. It'll be a lot of fun, really good atmosphere, and can't wait. I think Sean will have to help us post-production, but I think going into Mississippi State last year is when Scat.
It is. We just talked about it. Yep.
We'll have to add that in somewhere. B-roll here. Let's check out Scat. That was a good fortune. We miss him, but we're excited for him to make his NFL debut later this week for the Giants. That's going to be super exciting. But yeah, I mean, it's a lot of attention when you're going against these SEC opponents, and we know that there's another opportunity for us to take a step forward as a program, winning on the road in SEC territory. We're on ESPN2, so that'll be a really good broadcast as well. And so I know our guys are ready for the challenge, and we can't wait to get on the plane on Friday.
Brock Osweiler will be on the call, former Sun Devil, as the analyst that week. Yeah, I'm waiting on, it was Scat leading into Mississippi State last year. I'm waiting on someone to walk through so we can
had Jacob Kungai could just walk by. Great Sun Devil.
Just a bit early.
The team, just a bit early.
Yeah.
Seen a few other guys kind of flowing back and forth. It's middle afternoon. They're going to study hall, taking care of business in the classroom. That's always good to see as well.
We'll get a cameo in there. 4:30 ESPN2 on Saturday in Starkville. And if you are making the trip to Mississippi, for sure wear gold, because maroon's just going to blend in with Mississippi
I think they're doing a blackout.
Perfect.
Doing a blackout.
Are they indeed? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, then
so
wear
maroon and gold will stick out.
Yep. Or heck, wear white. I don't know. Something will stick out. One more thing on football before we move on, and I know it was a subject that was talked a lot about on social media, and you've addressed it on your X account as well, was the ESPN Plus broadcast. And of course, the issues were, as far as we know, ESPN wide, right? It wasn't just specific to our game in Tempe. I know it caused some frustration for fans, and I get it. A lot of hype, a lot of excitement around this year's team. You wait all off season, and then there were some issues. But I figured you'd want to address that as well on the program as well.
Yeah, I was disappointed that was the case, and apologize on behalf of the Big 12 and ESPN that we were dealing with that technical issue as we got into the second half. I think by maybe 5 minutes left in the game, they had restored the feed, and not intentional, not anything that was intended to happen. Just as you mentioned, the ESPN feed throughout everything they were doing on Plus that evening has some challenges, even beyond college football. But the Big 12 and ESPN have been all over it, and it's not a situation I expect us to have again this season. We've got ESPN2 this week. We're on TNT next weekend. We've got a couple Fox games around the corner as well that haven't been announced yet. But those things happen as we're kind of in this new digital era. I am very thankful that the Big 12 has made a concerted effort of getting more television partners involved, and so that's why we're on TNT next week. That's why you'll see some other games that could be on TBS, CW, Warner Brothers Discovery, et cetera. So they're looking hard to make sure that we're not only relying on these streaming platforms for the games that aren't picked up on a traditional television broadcast. But we're lucky the Big 12's got a great team. They were real time on top of it Saturday night. The commissioner reached out as well and was in touch with ESPN leadership. And sorry that was the case. We're still working on getting a clean feed posted on ESPN Plus. So if anybody wants to go back and watch that second half, hopefully they'll have an opportunity to do that soon. But really unfortunate on a first game when people were so excited to not be able to tune in and get that clean action in the second half. So, but like everything else, we'll learn from it. We'll turn the page. We'll make sure that our feedback might help some of the teams that are playing this weekend in avoiding some of those technical glitches that happen.
Yep. No doubt about it. Well said. And I think for fans to understand it, it's important to note it wasn't just an ASU issue, right? It was it was ESPN wide, unfortunately, on Saturday night. Okay, let's pivot from football now, talk about volleyball. And it's just further proof when you come on the program, good things happen.
Oh,
volleyball theme.
That's right.
Last week, they headed off to face Penn State, the number 2 team in the country, as well as Northern Iowa and Pitt, and arguably the biggest win in program history, for sure in the J.J. Van Niel era, taking down the defending national champion Penn State Nittany Lions in Pittsburgh on national TV.
That was awesome.
I mean, all the stars aligned, and it was a huge, huge win for ASU, now ranked 7th in the country.
Yeah, really, early season statement win, and they played a really good Northern Iowa team to start the season, and now that the broadcast shows receiving votes, Northern Iowa had the RV next to their name, and nice to see us with, I think, the 13 that we started with jumping to 7th in the polls this week. And man, I was on the edge of my seat that entire Penn State match, just unbelievable. Even the first match that we lost by 3 or 4 points, it was tight, it was close.
Yeah.
And then they found that extra gear, and just that minute and 10-second rally in the second set was incredible. It went viral. Fox Sports tweeted out to 2 million followers. You mentioned the game was on Fox as part of a national broadcast. And so, thanks to Fox for taking on that State Farm Showcase Challenge there in Pittsburgh. Really good weekend of volleyball with some high-end programs, and just so excited for our program to get that signature win. And my entire house was jumping up and down. Kids were going crazy. Allison was a proud letter winner, and it was her birthday. So JJ called afterwards. He's like, "Hey, I wanted to make sure I got you a special birthday present," and he delivered on that part. But really proud of this team. I mean, again, they 6 new starters, not a returning starting player on the roster, and for them to kind of rise to the moment, take on the defending national champ, win in such proud fashion. Our head coaching chat or text was unbelievable after the game. A lot of fans that were able to pick up that the game was on television were tuned in and watching, and tremendous visibility and exposure for our program. And now the good news is, we come back home this weekend for our first home matches of the season, Friday and Sunday, and can't wait to get that going.
Wonderful pivot by you, yeah, no doubt about it. And I want to correct myself. I said 7th. I'm sorry, 9th is the ranking.
No, we went up to 7th.
We did go to 7th.
You're right.
Okay,
yeah.
so I was
Pitt
wrong.
fell to 9th. They beat us. They're a good team. But yeah, we're 7th. You're right.
I shouldn't be. We can edit that out.
Trust yourself.
I should just trust myself. You're right. But it was a good weekend for Big 12 volleyball because TCU got a win too over Penn State. So.
Again, like
Good
that. We
volleyball
talked
league.
a lot about that sport. It's a great volleyball league. There's
Yeah.
a lot of schools that are making the investment. One of the most exciting sports, male or female, that we offer in the NCAA. And so I'm glad that the nation is paying attention to what's happening. I'm glad that we're building our program in a way that we can compete in these incredible showcases.
They're ranked 7th, folks. They're ranked 7th, and hopefully they continue to climb up. My personal twist on Sun Devil for Live of the Week, I'm going to interrupt here, and I'm sorry, Graham. Noemi Glover. And so it's not anything to do with performance or meeting or seeing off the floor, but how about a double-double against Penn State? She was unstoppable. 22 kills, 10 blocks, both career highs, transferred from Oregon. She's going to be a name to keep your eye on, obviously, for the rest of the volleyball season, but it was dominant. It was really fun to watch.
Yeah, and cool clip. If you go back and watch the end of that broadcast, which you can, no jab there, but the broadcaster pointed that out to JJ, and his facial reaction was so cool. And they're like, "Hey, 22 kills, 10 blocks," and he knew she had a good game, but kind of processing, and he was just like, "Wow!"
Right,
like an inaudible wow. It was pretty cool for a head coach to kind of just be in awe of the performance that she had, and also recognized for her performance with a nice AVCA recognition today.
Yep, and it was perfect to see, like you said, segueing into the home opener against FGCU coming up on Friday, and then on Sunday as well, they'll be back in action at DFA. So be sure to come out. If you're in the area with football on the road, that can be your fix for Sun Devil Athletics as well as soccer this weekend. And speaking of soccer, it's a soccer theme to the show today. We'll be joined by Graham Winkworth in a moment, but it's been a good clean sheet so far for Sun Devil women's soccer, unbeaten through 5 matches so far. A lot of road action, but they're back home for 2 at home. And, attendance is something that I know has been talked about really around the whole department, obviously with football, with volleyball, but with soccer as well. A really strong start in that department where Sun Devil Nation is activating the Valley over on the pitch as well.
For sure. Yeah, really cool to kind of wrap up a really exciting weekend, football win, volleyball win, and then a soccer win Sunday night in front of what you mentioned, a great crowd at the ASU Soccer Stadium. So I'm really impressed with the job that this coaching staff has done over the offseason. That's a sport that benefited from a nice scholarship infusion going into the program that allowed them to recruit at a higher level, really get some important transfers in, done a really good job with the high school recruiting, even regionally, and focusing on kids in the Southwest, Arizona, California, to make sure that the roster could reflect the fan base and the area that is around us. Really talented international players as well. And so out the gate, as you mentioned, five matches in, really performing at a high level. There's a different physicality, there's a different athleticism, there's a different togetherness across the team that's been really fun to see early on. And now they get to come back home, as you mentioned, and kind of stay home a little bit, settle back in, and knowing that the Big 12 schedule is right around the corner.
Stat of the day before we send it off to our interview with Graham Winkworth, it is soccer now 17-0-1 in the month of August since 2018.
Oh, wow.
So they continued that off in 2025 as well. Now we're in September trying to keep those winning ways going. But we are now here to join by ninth-year head coach Graham Winkworth, and he will be with us when we come back on Sun Devil Extra. Welcome back to Sun Devil Extra, joined now by ninth-year head coach Graham Winkworth of the Arizona State women's soccer program. Coach, thanks for joining us. How you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
So let's talk about the beginning of your year, 4-0-1, yet to be defeated. There's been that road warrior theme, of course. Yes, sorry, knock on wood somewhere, right? But road games, Texas State, UNLV, finally back at home now for a little bit of time. But what are your early takeaways from the start of this year and the impressive start?
Yeah, no, we a lot of new faces, a lot of young players, and a lot of competition for playing time, and really pleased with the chemistry within the team. Pleased with their efforts, particularly on the road, as we've seen, and then really excited to get home now and play in front of our own fans. And as I mentioned, fans already up 110% from our first two games last season to our first two games this season in attendance. So thank you to all those that have come out and supported the team so far.
And it's been an exciting product as well. You mentioned the youth and the newcomers. One person that doesn't fall into that category, of course, is Pauline Nellis, the senior goalkeeper who's truly starting to climb up the ranks of Sun Devil greats over the past decade or two. 3 clean sheets so far this year, 21 now in her career, continuing to climb up the record board on that. Just to have someone in net with her experience and obviously the performance she can put in on a game in and game out basis, how valuable is that?
Oh yeah, in my mind, when you've got a world-class goalkeeper, you've got half a chance, because ultimately the game is won by goals. So if you've got somebody that can score at one end and keep the ball out on the other, you've got a half a chance. So one day Pauli's going to be on this wall, I'm sure. So yeah, no, she's fantastic, good leader, great player, both keeping the ball out, but also offensively with the quality that she has with her feet too.
You mentioned offense, and a perfect segue in 9 different goal scorers now through your first 5 matches. So there's been balance and depth offensively as well. We'll talk about some of those individual performers as this conversation goes on. But what does that say kind of about the depth with the new faces, with the young talent, but then also 9 different people have scored?
Yeah, I'm delighted. It's nice always to get for attacking players to score their first goal, and a lot of people have done that so far this season. It's also nice to score in different ways. We've got players from all over the field that have contributed with goals. But then also with the injuries that we have within our roster, and missing the likes of KB, for example, who was our top goal scorer last season, some people need to step up, and so everyone's giving that extra little bit of effort and to try and compensate for that, and have done a good job so far.
Cameron Valadares so far with 5 assists in 5 matches. That's something that has put her top of the Big 12, or right there near the top of the Big 12 in terms of assists so far. And kind of to your point right there, just having to create offense maybe in different ways due to injuries and due to newcomers, the value in which she's brought to your club so far. What's that been?
Yeah, we've got her playing in a different way. Sometimes it's against her will, but she's great. She obviously wants to score goals like any other attacking player, but she's learning like the importance of the role that she's playing, and that she wants to be a pro potentially. And so I'm like, well, these pro teams, and they're looking at wingers, they're looking at what you're like on the dribble, and she's creating. She's been credited with those 5 assists, but then she's also won a lot of set pieces for us in the final third that we've scored from, and so she might not get the credit for those moments as well. So I like the way she's playing it right now. She's been aggressive on the dribble and causing opposing teams' fullbacks lots of trouble.
Here with Graham Winkworth, the women's soccer coach here at ASU. You know, you mentioned the final third, and you had comments about the final third and the decision making after the win against New Mexico State this past weekend. Just to kind of elaborate on that a bit more, because obviously that's where the money can be made ultimately. But what are you really trying to stress in that area?
Yeah, I want our wide players to start wide, but I also want them to be aggressive and not be afraid to make mistakes. I want them to dribble at the opposition's defenders, try and get to the opposition's end line as frequently as possible, because those types of crosses are high percentage chances for our forwards, and then get numbers in the box to try and finish those crosses. Against New Mexico State, I think we were taking the easy option out and delivering balls from deeper, wider positions that are lower percentage chances. So I'd rather have 10 cutbacks than 15 crosses from different areas, because they're higher percentage chances. And we did a great job in some of the other games with that. New Mexico State, I think we were a little bit impatient, but that's not taking anything away from them. They defended very, very well. Their fullbacks in particular did a great job with our wide players, and so credit to them. But fortunately, we found another way to score.
Yeah, 1-0 win against New Mexico State. You'll be back at home, like you said. Pepperdine coming up, who's a really good opponent. In terms of the construction of your roster, if you just click down the roster online, you're going to notice international talent all over the place. But then I know you take pride as well in having a lot of great talent locally as well. 15 international players. We'll touch on them right now, and we're going to talk to one of them, Izzy Monck, in the next segment. A transfer coming over from Memphis. You know, when you're constructing a roster and you're bringing together talent from all over the world, how difficult is it to try to cultivate all those different cultures, all those different types of players into creating one goal, one culture?
Yeah, I think it can be challenging, because there's some, but it's more little quirky things that we don't think about that just pop up with. When we played the first game of the season, and I substituted one of our South African girls after 15 minutes. Well, where she comes from, she's done. If she gets substituted, she doesn't get the opportunity to go back in. And so she was like, oh, okay. And she looked at me, but didn't complain. She had a great attitude, but didn't realize she could go back in. But honestly, when I'm recruiting and we're recruiting as a staff, we don't look at where people are from. We just look for quality people and quality soccer players. And I hope and I feel that in the locker room, that the girls just see a bunch of friends. They don't think about, oh, she's from there and she's from there. They think about, she's just my sister, she's my friend. And I hope that that's the sort of culture that we're trying to create. And you're going to interview Izzy in a little bit, and you're going to see that she's exemplifies that type of culture within our squad.
Let's talk about Izzy a bit more. Someone who kind of has an unselfish role, doesn't always get the credit maybe she deserves in terms
100%.
of what she brings to the table. And starting off first 5 matches as a Sun Devil coming over from Memphis, she has been a difference maker. And I know, just talking off air, that's someone that you've highlighted in a big way. How impressive you've been just with what she brings to the table for your program.
Well, we were blessed to get Izzy in January. Sometimes the transfers come in the summer, and then they get the 2 weeks of preseason just like a freshman, and you're learning how they play within those 2 weeks. We were very fortunate to get Izzy in January. So we had the spring to work with her, and I make no secret, I'm very black and white with the team, and she was the best player in the spring. So she made an immediate impact in how she played the game with us, but then also a massive impact in how she trains. Like, I'm friends with her former coach. We run things differently, and I think you can be successful in both ways.
Yeah.
But he's a big disciplinarian in the way that they play, and you could tell that Izzy's very disciplined in the way that she plays. I want to give her a little bit more freedom and enjoy, play with a smile, etc., etc. While hopefully she's got that self-discipline and self-motivation to keep that positive side of her game from Memphis as well, which so far she's been fantastic and been able to hopefully enjoy playing soccer while also being very motivated, very disciplined in how she plays, and all of those traits I think will take her to the next level and beyond, so I'm excited for her.
Yeah, she's been shining bright so far. We mentioned it already, a couple of home matches to come, including Pepperdine, who's very dangerous, on Thursday night, and then 10 a.m. Sunday against Denver. 110% increase in attendance over the first 2 games.
Yeah, there was not that I'm counting, but there were 968 people at the first 2 games last season, and 2,032 people at the first 2 games this season. We were trying to activate the Valley. Again, I want to thank all the fans that come out, and again, I want to stress, kids, if you are in 6th grade or under, it is completely free. Grab your parent, grab your friends, if you're a soccer player, bring them all out, because the girls are exciting to watch. They'd love to sign their autographs for you, and hopefully we can continue to increase our attendances. And just like football and volleyball and other sports within our department, activate this valley and just get this whole department flying.
Yeah, there's been a lot of success, including on the pitch so far with this program. One more before we let you go, Coach. And I have to bring this up because a friend of the program, Doug Tamaro, informed us you're a big karaoke guy. So our go-to song, what do we got?
Oh, go-to song. That depends on the crowd. You know, back in the day when I first I was in a national karaoke final in England. Back in the day, though, I was single and 20, and so I had to sing back in the 90s what girls liked, and so that was boy bands. So I'd impersonate boy bands back in the day. But when I moved to America, I lived in the South. I lived in Nashville and Alabama, and so I basically became a country singer. But I don't sound English when I sing country. But I'm actually going to go and see a concert next week of my favorite British band, Oasis. So I've been getting into some of their music again lately.
I love this, and this is a great fun fact that was brought to my attention literally yesterday. I think we could have a whole conversation just about karaoke.
Absolutely.
But you know what, we'll stick to soccer for now. Coach, thanks a lot for coming in today, and congrats on the hot start, and here's more success moving forward.
No worries, thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
We'll chat with one of his new transfers, Izzy Monck, who will join us on the program when we come back. Welcome back to Sun Devil Extra as we continue on with our women's soccer theme on today's program. Joined now by one of the talented senior transfers coming into the program this year. That's Izzy Monck, originally from Calgary, off to Memphis where she started her career, and then to Arizona State. How you doing?
Great, how are you?
Good. Hey, thanks for joining us on the program today, and a pretty good start to your Sun Devil career, of course, with 5 matches unbeaten so far. How would you say the first 5 matches have gone in your eyes?
Yeah, I think they've gone really well. I think it's good to get used to each other, playing with each other. Lots of new faces, even myself included, coming in the spring. So I think getting used to playing with each other and building strong bonds together.
You know, Coach was just talking about how it was an advantage for you to come over in January instead of in the summertime, and that seems obvious why that would be a big advantage. But through your perspective, where you spent 4 years at a program at Memphis and then coming over to a new one, how has that transition been? Because there's so many things that people don't think of. You're in an entirely new environment, entirely new part of the country, different weather, all those different things, right? How has that transition gone for you?
Yeah, I think definitely, like he said, a big advantage for me to come in the spring. I mean, I got a whole semester under my belt getting used to how things work, how we play, and I had quite a few opportunities to kind of work individually with the coaches, which was really beneficial as well. Just to get to see what they want out of me and what I can bring to the program. So. In
terms of Coach and what he was talking about just a moment ago, the play styles, right? Very disciplined program at Memphis, and obviously discipline's so important here, but he's wanting you to kind of open up in terms of your freedom a bit more. How has that been for you, trying to kind of adapt to that new system, and how have you seen that kind of adjust the way you play as well? Yeah,
I mean, I love it. That's always what I've loved, is the freedom to get forward, the freedom to join the attack, and to play with my team. I mean, at Memphis, I had some freedom, but coming over here, I have all the freedom in the world, and I just get to play the sport that I love with the teammates that I love. So I'm really enjoying it.
We talk about freedom and coming forward and joining the attack. Well, you've already scored a goal early on in your Sun Devil career. So about that play, kind of take us through it, how it came to be, and what's that feeling like when you're able to put the ball in the back of the net? Yeah, I mean, it was off a corner, just bouncing ball and got the rebound, but I think my teammates did all the work in the box. It just came out to me, and I had the chance to put it away, and I did. But yeah, it's an amazing feeling to get my first goal, and it's just the beginning. Yeah, no doubt about it. Hopefully just the beginning for the entire squad, right, with the strong start you guys have had. Being in the portal, it's like this almost mythical place. I think people that aren't student athletes, I think of what it's like. In terms of your experience in the portal and ultimately finding your way here to Tempe, what stood out to you about ASU and about Coach Winkworth as well? Yeah, I was just going to say the coaching style, their want to help me and to help me learn. I think one of the biggest things that has helped me is the individual meetings, going through film and just them showing me exactly what they want from me. The feedback, I love feedback. I want to learn constantly, and so when I was in the portal, I was talking to obviously other schools, but when I visited here, I fell in love. And it sounds cliche, but when I was younger, my parents used to come to Phoenix all the time for my dad's work trips. And so I had a bunch of Sun Devil gear, so I have a bunch of photos of when I was younger, and I'm in a Sun Devil shirt, so I think it was always meant to be. But, no kidding. We might have to get our hands on those somehow. That's pretty awesome. In terms of your love for the game. And you mentioned that in an answer earlier on in this conversation, just the love you have for this beautiful sport. Where did that start? What created that bond and love for the sport you play?
I mean, I've been doing it since I was 3, so I mean, it's all I've known, and I've surrounded my life around soccer. It was worth all the sacrifices, and I have to thank my family and all the people around me who supported me and pushed me to get into sport in the first place. But I'd say my mom's been a big influence. She played lots of sports growing up, and when I was younger, she pushed me to join in any and every sport, and just love being around a team, love my teammates, and ultimately I chose soccer because I was good at it, and I enjoyed being good at it, and I just strive every day to be better at it, and ultimately I want to play at the next level. I want to play professionally, so for a sport to be able to turn into a career is a really insane opportunity that I would love to have in the future, so just pushing to be better every day for that opportunity.
That's a great answer, and I think, just reading up on your career and the way your journey has taken you all over the place, one of the things that stuck out was your appearance with the national team, the Canadian national team, the U17 World Cup. That's an experience that many people dream of right there, and you got to experience it at such a young age. What was that like? And was there a moment really in that experience where it really set in what you were doing?
Yeah, I mean, everyone always says like it's an honor to play for your national team, but it truly is. I mean, not many people get that opportunity to represent their country on a big stage and showcase themselves and their team to the world. It's pretty cool. And like just hearing the national anthem, like being able to like fight on the field for your country and to represent your country is an amazing experience, and I got to do it alongside some amazing friends, and so made lots of friends and connections along the way, so it was a big part of my journey, and I'm always grateful for it.
Yeah, no doubt, and something that's pretty rare as well. Not many people get to say they've put on the crest of their own country, and you got to do it at such a young age. Getting it back now to Tempe, though, and I know you're a new face to this program, but in year 2 of the Big 12, trying to climb up the standings from what happened last year. In year number 1, plenty of new faces, plenty of young talent, as well as some experienced returners as well. Yes, it's been a strong start to the season, but what makes you feel as though you guys can really make some noise in the Big 12 this year?
Yeah, I think we've had a strong start already, and just the bonds that we have with each other, the connections that we have with each other on and off the field are helping us on the field. I mean, you see it through everyone. It's not just the new people, it's returners as well, but those connections that we've built have allowed us to have success on the field so far, and we fought really hard. We worked really hard in preseason, and it'll all work out and show that on the field already, but once we get to the Big 12, that'll be even more prominent, so I'm excited.
And certainly I think everyone around the program has reason to be excited with the start you guys have had. Izzy, congratulations on the great start. Pepperdine at home this week, as well as Denver on Sunday morning. Finally get to stay at home for a little bit. I'm sure that's refreshing, right?
Yes, extremely.
Yeah, you guys have been racking up the airline miles, but so far unbeaten through 5 matches. Izzy, thanks for joining us today, and good luck.
Thank you so much.
All right, we'll be joined by Graham Rossini to wrap things up when we come back. Back to wrap things up here on Sun Devil Extra. Braiden Bell rejoined by Athletic Director Graham Rossini. Big thank you to the women's soccer program for joining us on the program today. And going back to chatting with Coach Winkworth, the note about karaoke. Apparently you were aware of that as well. I was late to the party to understand that, but it is a well-known fact that Coach Winkworth has a skill in that game.
Yeah, something about those English pipes. It just kind of flows into a microphone. I've seen him in action a couple times, and he's got sneaky stage presence. He's a very kind of modest coach. He's very kind of reserved unless he's on the pitch, but he lets it fly when he gets that microphone in his hand. So the sparkle in his eyes, the English inflection in his voice, it just works.
Charming.
I
need to catch it in action eventually, and I'm already regretting not asking him to give us a bar or two on the spot, but that's okay. We move on. He'll be back on the show another time.
Absolutely.
Graham, leading into our first road football game, we've talked a lot about the fan support and everything at home, which is great, but there is a whole traveling circus, right, to get a football program on the road. And in the case of a weekend like this, you're traveling across the country to the Deep South, to Starkville, Mississippi. I was wondering if you could kind of give fans a behind-the-scenes look. You've got the equipment truck obviously having to drive that far, but there is so much that goes into putting on a road football game, and fans just sometimes don't realize it.
It would be, I know we've talked about making that a feature at some point. I think it would really be cool to do a behind the scenes on what it's like to move a football program, because there's so much stuff. A lot of people and a lot of stuff, and as you mentioned, we've got a truck. We're so lucky that Dirk's Moving is in the Valley. Rick Dirk's a longtime friend and partner of the Sun Devils. His family now runs the business, and so they get us from Tempe to Starkville. That's a long haul, kind of going on the open road to get all the equipment there. So when the team arrives, the locker room's set up. They've got all the fitness equipment, all the football pads and equipment, which takes up a lot of room. But we've got a whole team behind the team. Mike Chismar, who's done it for many years, is handing over the reins to Brian McGinnis officially, our talented director of football ops. Lexi in football, Jason Cervecco, the team that really spends a lot of time going into it. And it starts months ago with hotel arrangements. That's the first step. The flight coordination. We do escorts to the airport, and so that's City of Tempe, ASU PD, City of Phoenix, and then Sky Harbor, really collaborating on just moving the 4 or 5 buses that we have and the equipment trucks to the airport. American Airlines does our charters. They've been an incredible partner of ours for many years now, and you're moving coaches and players and staff and donors kind of cross country for these games. And so it is kind of a whole traveling village in order to make it happen. And a lot of thought goes into it. Our academic coaches are part of the plan, knowing that we leave on a Friday afternoon. Our nutritionists weigh in on the meals that the team eats before they get on the plane, what we have on the ground, and kind of coordinating that. One thing that's, I think, unique that coach is really committed to is not disrupting the weekly rhythm, whether we're at home or on the road. And so Friday morning, if we're at home or on the road, is very similar by design. And so we'll get on a plane in the afternoon, we'll get in that evening, check into the hotel, get a meal, get some rest, get some treatment for the guys that need to, and then wake up Sunday or Saturday in that game mindset. And so again, home or road, even at home, we stay in a hotel locally just to kind of maintain that same rhythm. And so very methodical, very attention to detail in the ways that we travel and outline it. And there's an incredible team that makes all that happen.
Yeah, we're going to have to do a show on this eventually, because I have dozens of questions of how it happens on a weekly basis. But this being the first road game this weekend, it is topical to talk about. Into SEC territory this weekend for football, of course, like we said, volleyball, soccer. At home, there are plenty of events, even though football is on the road, of course, to come and see in Tempe. Before we go, Sun Devil for Life of the Week. Do we have anyone this week, Graham?
I'm dipping into women's soccer. We had Callie in the suite over the weekend, newest member to the Sun Devil Athletic Hall of Fame. She'll be inducted officially in mid-October. Great professional right now in the NWSL. One of the best players to ever come through our soccer program, and so fitting that we have the soccer theme. She was in our athletic department suite over the weekend, and just really big energy. It was great to meet her. A little bit of preview of some of the festivities coming up for Hall of Fame weekend, and so just really excited to meet her and celebrate her here next month when we celebrate the Hall of Fame. So if there's a Hall of Famer in our presence, that's probably going to take precedent for our Sun Devil for Life of the Week.
As it should. Last one for you before we let you go, Graham. There was a lot of talk about how good the new football uniforms looked on Saturday with the new nameplate. I saw it all over Twitter. Nice. So that was good to see. The road uniforms will debut this week as well. But I know you've kind of hinted at this. A couple more things to come, right?
Yeah.
In the football uniform department?
I kind of teased this last week at a speaking event, but there's actually a uniform that we're selling in the bookstore right now that will end up on field. There were a couple guesses. I guess there's one that we're selling that we're not wearing. It also looks very good. We might have to think about wearing that at some point. But yeah, we've got some cool uniform updates in the hopper. By the way, really cool last week that Jordan Tyson, Sam Levitt announced an Adidas NIL deal. So that's really cool to see those guys getting some national acclaim there. But yeah, we got some cool uniforms. Two out the gate. We'll wear the white one this weekend, so we'll get a chance to see that one on field for the first time. I think the Arizona State has been very well received.
Absolutely.
The bigger player name on the back was also really good. I know our guys are cooking up some pretty cool helmet decals. I don't know if we talked about this, and if we have time left, the Pat Tillman Leadership Council is the one responsible for picking the uniforms. So we concoct a couple options or recommendations, but Coach lets the players pick the uniform combos. We're going to be wearing Sparky on the helmet more often this year. That was important for us, and they're helping select some of the games that will do that. But yeah, we've got 2 more uniforms that we haven't publicly announced. We'll get into that actually next couple of weeks. We'll start to officially debut those with Adidas' help. And so there's one I can't wait to show it off. I can't wait. It's really good.
I love Graham Rossini for many reasons, but to get him going on uniforms, it's like I'm a kid in a candy store right now because I could talk about this for a long time.
Oh, you haven't seen him?
No. So maybe
Okay.
when we're off air, you can hook
I
me
like
up or
it.
something.
We've kept the circle tight.
You've kept
Well, we'll have to let you in.
too tight. Yeah,
Okay.
just open it up just a notch. No, but it should be a lot of fun for the uniform enthusiasts as well as just football fans everywhere. Big weekend to come, like we said. Big thank you as well to women's soccer and Coach Winkworth for joining us today. Graham, safe travels to Mississippi.
Thank you. And quick shout out, triathlon, cross country
Yes.
underway early in the fall, both competing at a high level out the gate. And it's fun. You blink and we're in it. Fall semester is well underway.
Here we are.
Sweater
And
weather soon.
from your mouth
Sweater weather.
to God's ears. Here we go. Yeah, big weekend to come. Thanks for joining us on Sun Devil Extra. Today, we'll talk to you next week here from Tempe.